Hi everyone, I'm Carrie Warnick with Multi-Region Purchasing Co-op, and I am here at Corsicana ISD practicing safe measures for COVID. Not only am I social distancing from the staff, but I'm also wearing my protective PPE here and use some hand sanitizer when I stepped into the building. So we are all good here. I am going to do a training today, and this is the recording of that training of the PR procurement review, going through your prep steps and a demonstration of what it will look like once you log into TX-UNPS and start entering the information. Now, I will be pausing in special places as I prepare to show you some things, but I wanted to talk with you a minute about what we are doing first. So as you've read my email, there is a cheat sheet you'll want to download. That gives you all the answers to the formal contract section, as well as the processing section if you have something to enter into that area. Before you step into the PR table, you also want to have your business office print out a general ledger that shows every transaction. I believe that has been requested for this PR review or procurement review. And then I asked Corsicana's business office to print out what's called a vendor summary. And they did a beautiful job. They literally printed out a summary for each vendor paid out of their child nutrition federal fund account that shows every single transaction as well as total amount paid, because you need the total amount paid. Now, next steps. Once you have all this in order, you also want to make sure that you have an updated copy of your child nutrition code of conduct manual and an updated copy of your child nutrition procurement procedures manual. These can be nestled inside of a district SOP or even a child nutrition manual, but they need to be titled and be separate sections, one for procurement procedures and one for code of conduct. Once you have that, you want to make sure before you step into the PR table that you have code of conduct, procurement procedures manual, general ledger, your vendor summaries, all on your computer ready to upload into the portal through TX-UNPS. Okay, I'm going to pause this right here, and then I'm going to show you what we have done in preparation with all of the vendor summaries. Okay, I don't know if you guys can really make out what we've got going on here, and I'm using a little handheld camera, but for each of the pages that were printed out for a vendor summary, as you can see, we have tagged the top with what this vendor is. It is a multi-region co-op awarded bid that Corsicana is purchasing off of, and it's a processor. So she receives some of her processed commodities through the contracted warehouse. So that one is going to go into the processing section, and this happens to be Pilgrim's Pride. So you can see right here, Pilgrims. So we automatically knew that was processing section. Next, and I've got these organized on the table by the type of bid. Next, we've got MRPC formal. So we've got a stack of vendors that were paid that are co-op awarded bids under the formal contract section. And then we've also got a Corsicana ISD formally procured bid that all departments use at her school. Now, we've already had a conversation about, is that bid in compliance with child nutrition? And that is something that Betty is looking into. Next, obviously, we've got some small purchases that were made not only by the district, but also by child nutrition. And then I've got a stack for micro purchases. Now, the great thing about these reports, as I can kind of pull out here, it not only shows each payment made and the dates, but we also have a grand total. So we know exactly how much to enter for the contract value. This is how you get yourself organized, because now we will stack these in order, beginning with micro, then small, and then formal and processing, and we will be ready to enter each one of these vendors into the PR table. Excel spreadsheets also work great if you are an Excel spreadsheet person. I talked with the district yesterday, and they've got it neatly laid out in an Excel spreadsheet just like this. Get yourself organized around which vendors are what type of purchase, and then get ready to go. Okay, so now that you've seen how to prepare before you enter information into the PR table, we are ready to take a look at a few other things. So first, I want to show you that I have a few of the documents scanned in and open so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's their general ledger, and I've also got their code of conduct document open, and then also their procurement procedures manual open. You want to make sure that this has been updated and you've included all the current updates from TDA. And if you are using the templates that I shared with you, just make sure you go through and update your copy. So that's what that looks like. Our next step is to get logged in to the TX-UNPS account. Now, when you log in, you must have the blue button available to you, which is the School Nutrition Programs button. If you do not, then maybe your business office person has access to this, or someone else in your child nutrition staff. So you'll log in, you'll click on the blue button. Next, you'll come up here in the blue bar and click on Compliance. And then you will click on Procurement Review Tracking. And then you should see your review listed. Now, this will give you your reviewer ID. The review year is our current year because that's when you're going through your review, although they are reviewing school year 1920. So don't get confused by that date. Obviously, review type is procurement. It should give you the name of your lead reviewer and the date they scheduled that. Most of you have a due date of September 14th to get everything uploaded and entered into the PR table. We will simply click on Details, and then that will take us to another screen, another dashboard, where you will see Review Tools. Now we are looking for the procurement table, and we'll simply click on Detail. And now we are presented with the first part of the table, where we are going to have to go through and answer some questions. Now, I'm going to pause because I am not entering anything into Corsicana ISD's PR table. Betty Mahoney will be doing that. I will be turning off the video, but I will be talking her through it. Betty does not want to be on the video, so we will respect that. But trust, we are all wearing personal protection equipment and keeping a safe distance. Okay, everyone, we are back. You do not see the video because Betty Mahoney is shy and so is Sherelle. However, I am sitting at a somewhat distance from them, and Betty is going to go through and review the information in the PR table and update wherever she sees the need to update, and then we will start entering our micro, small, formal, and processing contracts. Okay, Betty, so what you're going to do is you first want to review is the small purchase threshold and for the school district, correct. Corsicana adheres to the $50,000 small purchase threshold, right? You don't have anything more restrictive in your district?
I don't believe so.
Okay, no, okay. So that looks good. And of course, we know that the state threshold is $50,000. So that looks good as well. Now, go ahead and scroll down and make sure you read each section. So the next question is, did the SFA pay a membership fee, join at no cost, or otherwise enter into an agreement with a group purchasing organization, a group buying organization, or third-party entity? The answer is yes, because multi-region purchasing co-op is considered a group purchasing organization. So she's going to click on the Add button right here, and then she's going to enter multi-region purchasing co-op. Go ahead and click on that. Look at that. In the drop-down menu, click on the down arrow, group purchasing organization. Or, well, go ahead and pick GPO. I'm going to be honest here. I don't know really what the big difference is. And click on Save. All right, we are done with that section. Now go ahead and scroll down to the next section. You will see 5 different types of vendors listed here. Each is its own standalone section. So we're going to begin with micro purchases. So Betty, all you have to do is click on the micro purchases, the 2 words there. See how that becomes red and underlined? That means it's a live link. Go ahead and click on it. And now we are ready to start adding some vendors. Now, add a vendor, click on that. And just so those of you watching this video know, we have stacked all of our notes on the vendor summary pages that I showed you earlier in order: micro, small, formal. She's not using a food service management company, and then processing. So she's got them in order right next to her. So she is going to begin entering the first micro purchase vendor. This is going to be a test of Betty's typing skills.
Restaurant. I ain't good at typing. What are these on? T-A-R-A-N-T.
Now, the vendor ID may be an internal ID with your accounting department, and I would use that.
So that would be that.
Yes.
Okay.
So on the vendor summary, you'll probably have a column that has a vendor number, and you want to use that number.
88388.
And then in goods or services provided, don't go crazy here. Just a quick little entry of what it was you were purchasing from this particular vendor. So I believe this was chemicals, right?
No,
Or equipment, small?
This is equipment.
Okay, small equipment. So go ahead and type in small equipment.
But does it matter?
We're going to deal with that later. Okay. So Betty has a capital expenditure with the same company where she actually did get 3 quotes, ended up awarding this company, and then got TDA approval because it was a large piece of equipment. But you will have noticed that there was no area to enter a capital expenditure. So you really don't have to worry about those. Okay, perfect. Now, next cell is total paid to vendor. In the summary, the vendor summary report, you've got that total.
16.
Now, Betty, I'm actually gonna ask you to subtract this capital expenditure from the total amount paid for this micro purchase because that's a separate entry. So let's do some quick math. Sorry, people, we're having to do some quick math here. I mean, I've got a calculator in my hand if I can get it going here quick enough. Hang tight, everybody. We are doing some math.
0.46
okay.
minus $14,232.
Okay. Okay. $2,210.46 is what you will enter. So 2210.46. So that is something to pay attention to. If you've got a vendor where you have some micro purchases, but then maybe you've got some other type of purchase, a small or capital expenditure, you may want to do quick math before you get into your PR table and start entering this information. And now the next cell has a drop-down menu. So go ahead and click on that. And let's see. Miscellaneous retail, food, and supplies. This would fall into that category because it's small equipment for your food service. Next question, how many purchases were made from this vendor during the school year? Keep in mind, they're reviewing 2019-20. And if you requested the vendor summary report from your business office, it will show every transaction. So all you have to do is count them. Looks like 9, I think. 9. So you enter a 9. Oh, 8. I'm sorry, 8 times. Yep, yep. 8 micro purchases. So she'll enter the number 8. There is no need for comments unless you have some kind of special situation you need to discuss with the monitor. So I think you can leave that blank. And Betty, go ahead and click on save. And we'll see if it takes it. All right. Awesome. Betty has just entered her first micro purchase. So what we're going to do at this point, I'm going to pause this video, Betty has several micro purchases vendors to enter, and we're going to get those entered and we'll be right back. So stay tuned. Okay, Betty has entered all of her micro purchase vendors, and as you can see, each one is listed by vendor name, vendor ID, goods and services, total amount paid, number of purchases, and then she left some comments for some of those. Once you get all of your vendors entered into micro purchases, go ahead and click the back button. This will take you back to our main screen, and now you can see in micro purchases, we have 5 vendors entered. Next, we will click on small purchases and begin the entry for our small purchase vendors. So all you have to do is just click on that link and then click on add vendor and begin answering the questions. So Betty's going to go ahead and enter. She has a couple of vendors that were a small purchase acquisition where she received 3 quotes. And this screen will look a little different from the micro purchases because obviously the small purchase is a different solicitation type. And this is your paper goods, right? Or your chemicals. Okay.
Chemicals / paper goods.
Okay, go ahead and put that in that cell. So those of you watching can see, if you get yourself organized with your vendor summaries and you have notes on your vendor summaries as to what you purchased, how many times you purchased, and it shows the total, this part is very easy and should not be stressful at all.
Chemicals / paper goods.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. And then total paid to the vendor is right there on your vendor summary. I'm making Betty work from my laptop, so she doesn't have a normal keyboard. Just saying. All right, drop down menu for products and or services, and we have a few more options here. Equipment, utensils, let's see. Yeah, go ahead and pick other, and then we can describe it in the comments. Okay. I think that's totally fine. Okay. They just want to know specifics. Okay, the next question is, was this a one-time purchase, or did the SFA use this vendor for multiple purchases? And looking at her vendor summary, the answer is multiple purchases. Next question is, did the SFA receive more than one response to its solicitation? The answer is yes. They did receive several quotes. Next question, was this vendor contract obtained through a GPO, GBO, non-SFA only co-op? No, it was not. This was a school district driven small purchase. And then if the answer was yes, you'd have to click on that down arrow, but she's not doing that because the answer was no. Now in comments, Betty, I would go ahead and type in whatever it is really. You've got chemicals and paper goods, but I would just simply say, because you picked other, they're going to require a description in the comments. Okay. You can just repeat what you said. Yeah, right. Chemicals and paper products as needed. Yeah, and paper products. I don't think you need to get too wordy in any of this. Keep it simple for yourself. The reviewers understand. Okay, then all you have to do is click on save. And now she has made her first entry in the small purchases. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video and let Betty continue entering her small purchase vendors, and we'll be back. Okay, Betty has all her small purchase vendors entered, and as you can see, we have just 2 companies. Total paid, oops, type. I think we skipped over that. Let me have Betty click on modify. Let's see. I don't see where there is a type. Betty, go ahead and click the down arrow. No other option there. So that may just be blank, just so you know, because I did not see any other option there. Once you're ready to move on to the next section, you simply click the back button, scroll down, and now we're ready for formal contracts. So all we do is click on formal contracts, and now we'll start adding our formal contract vendors.
Okay, so the first one would be flat.
And this screen, once again, is going to look a little different from the micro and the small purchase. Hopefully you guys can see how easy this is as we're moving pretty quickly through the PR table because we did all the prep work up front. And it really didn't take us that much time. I asked Betty to print out the vendor summaries as well as her general ledger so we could really look through that and make sure we have everything covered. I asked her to review her code of conduct and her procurement procedures manual and make sure that was updated. Because this section, we're not required to pull a bunch of documents yet. We're going to wait until the monitor comes back and asks for certain vendors and documents. But before that, we don't need to pull any documents shy of the really the main three. Okay, Betty, what are you getting stuck on here?
Stuck on, okay, this is flat. It's like, I don't know, not paper goods. It's like your pencils and, so what's the,
Office supplies.
oh, that's
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for.
So the vendor that Betty is entering right now is actually a Corsicana ISD awarded vendor.
Office supplies.
And this is a vendor that's awarded for the entire district. And we have had a conversation with her accounting business office person who handles the bids. And all I can say about school awarded bids, if it's a formal contract, I will be sharing two documents with everyone in the co-op. One is a federal regulations document. The other one is a Texas regulations document. It's what I use in my formal solicitations, and it's what's required for child nutrition. And all of you need to verify that if you are purchasing off of a school solicitation, an awarded bid, that solicitation is child nutrition compliant. So I will be sharing information, and you will probably be asking a lot of questions of your purchasing people.
Would it be
okay, what do we got going on here?
other?
Okay, so listen. Oh, okay, so this is where the cheat sheet comes in handy. So I sent everyone a cheat sheet, and it lists all the formal contracts. But this is a school district solicitation. So most likely they did an IFB. However, we're going to answer it as an IFB, an invitation for bid for now. But before we submit our PR table, we're going to verify that with her business office. And then we can always come back in and modify any one of these sections and any one of these vendors before we submit the PR table.
Okay, fixed price.
Most likely it was a fixed price. So now you can see, I forgot to gather answers to some of these questions on a school district bid. Contract duration, probably 1 year. We're just taking a stab at this now.
Yeah.
What I will say is that if this was a co-op awarded bid, she would have all the answers to these questions on the cheat sheet. We started with a tough one. Okay, the answer is yes.
This would be.
And was this vendor obtained through a GPO? No, because it's a school district bid. Don't have to answer that because it was a school district bid. And right now, I'm going to have her check NA, and we're just going to save it as is. But we're going to pull this vendor summary to the side and make a note that we need to follow up with her business office and ask a few more questions. So go ahead and save that, Betty. All right, now I'm going to have you go ahead and enter the next one that is a multi-region formal bid so that everyone can see how this works. And Betty's going to enter some of the main information, but then I'm going to switch the screen over to the cheat sheet so that you guys can see how handy that thing is. She actually has 2 companies that she's using that were district awarded vendors. So before we enter the other one, we've got a few questions to ask. We'll get that updated.
Okay, this is tropical beverage. That is
So that is,
slushy.
yes, dispensed fruit
Slushy.
beverages. Yes. And just so you know, when it asks for the contract value, that is the total amount paid to that vendor. So she's going to look at the bottom number there. And as you're noticing, a few different questions or same questions but worded differently, because in your micro and small, they ask you the total amount paid to the vendor. In the formal, they're asking for a contract value. And that has been confirmed. So now Betty's going to answer a request for proposal. Now, how does she know? Okay, go ahead and select it, Betty. Now I'm gonna share something on the screen just so you guys can see. I sent you what I call is a cheat sheet. Now, there are 3 tabs down here at the bottom. One is yellow, which kind of describes all sections of the PR table. Formal contracts. This lists every single vendor that multi-region co-op has awarded, and it tells you the name of the vendor, the RFP number. I wasn't sure if that was going to be asked for or not. You'll enter your contract value, solicitation type. I only do RFPs. Contract type. We only do a fixed price contract in this. Contract duration is 1 year. Yes, I have received more than 1 response on all my bids. You'll answer yes on the GPO question. I haven't had any amendments. So as you can see, the cheat sheet is giving you all the answers right here in all those columns. So as you're going through this, you may want to have the cheat sheet printed out next to you, which will answer all your questions. Okay, Betty, go ahead and continue on. Okay, so we've got the RFP selected, and we know it's a fixed price contract. Contract duration is 1 year. And yes, we received more than 1 response. No, that is yes, because it's a multi-region co-op bid. So go ahead and select, select yes. And now the drop-down menu and the next question, there's your co-op listed. No amendments were made. All of those are questions in the cheat sheet answered on the cheat sheet. So now she can save. And now she's ready to enter the next vendor. All right, we're going to pause here while we let Betty enter the rest of her vendors, and we'll be back. Okay, we are back. Betty has entered all of her formal contract vendors. And as you can see, I'm sure some of these companies look rather familiar to many of you. Kirby Restaurant, Labatt, Tropical Beverage. Once you're done, click the back button. And now we're ready for the next section. The next section, and Betty's going to click on food service management contracts because we need to address this section. I thought, oh, looks like they've changed something. In the past, they had a does not apply, but she does not utilize a food service management company, so we're just going to leave that untouched. We may see if it prompts us for something else towards the end. Last section is processing contracts. So Betty's going to click on processing contracts, and then she will begin to add her vendors. Now, what I will say about this section is this only applies to you if you actually have paid a USDA Foods commodity processor directly. What does that mean? Well, it means companies like Pilgrim's Pride or Tyson or Swans or Land O'Lakes invoice your school directly and you paid them directly. That means you're either getting any one of those companies, any of our processors, driving up in their trucks to your warehouse or back door and dropping a rather large quantity, minimum drop of food, or you're receiving some processed commodities through the TDA contracted warehouse. Now, last year, that was Colorado Box Beef Company. Something to know about Colorado Box Beef Company. And Betty's entering as I'm talking. You do not need to list CBBC or US Foods if you're using them out of the Lubbock warehouse anywhere in this PR table. Those are TDA contracts, and TDA is not reviewing themselves. All right, so Betty's working on entering Pilgrim's Pride. She actually receives commodity foods, processed commodity foods, along with her brown box through the contracted warehouses for 3 different vendors. I would just put processed chicken products. Like I said, keep it simple. Make it easy on yourselves when you're doing the PR table. They don't need a big, lengthy description. There you go. Perfect. All right, contract value. Once again, keep in mind, this is a formally procured co-op bid. There's your contract value. And the contract value is the total amount you paid this vendor. Now we get into the questions that you will find the answers to on the cheat sheet. Before you go any further, Betty, I'm going to pull up that cheat sheet because I want to show you there is a processing contracts tab. Oh, lovely day. Answers all the questions for all of our awarded processors. So keep that handy as you're going through this PR table. All right, you may continue on now, Betty. So all of it is a request for proposal. That's all that I do. And yes, I got more than one response, and it is a 1 year. Oh, hold on. New question.
That's a new question.
Okay, processing section has a new question. It looks a little different. Same question, different answers. Contract duration. You have the choice of a base year, renewal year 1, or renewal year 2. Now, how do you know? Well, if you come back to the cheat sheet,
You're 1 year.
Contract duration, and in which contract year is this vendor? This was the 2nd contract year, which means it was the 1st renewal. Now, helping Betty do this, it makes me realize I probably need to change the title of that column and then tell you, is it renewal year 1 or 2, which I will do. Just know, if it shows a 2 contract year, it's in the 1st renewal. I never really take my commodity bids beyond 1 renewal. So go ahead, Betty. Contract duration, you're going to select renewal year 1. All right, perfect. All right, yes, I received more than 1. And yes, this was done through a GPO, and then select multi-region. And no amendments have been made. All right, ready to say. See, I learn as you guys do this, right? This is so awesome. All right, I'm going to pause, and again, I'm going to let Betty finish out her 2 more vendors to put in this area, and then we'll pick back up. Stay tuned. Okay, Betty has gotten her 3 processors entered into the processing contracts section. So now we are ready to move on to the next steps of the PR table. Click the back button. And now we are on the main screen. As we scroll through and look at some of the areas, Betty needs to add staff members to the Procurement Authority staff section. So I'm going to go ahead and have her add those people into this section, and then we will scroll through and take a look at what are the next steps. Okay, so we are about to enter all staff members involved in this procurement review. And you'll notice that it says Procurement Authority staff. So the individuals you want to list in this section are those that are really touching any part of this review. So go ahead, Betty, click on Add Staff in that section. Yeah, right there. And it's going to ask for the name of the person, position title, their responsibilities, and their contact information. Now, you don't have to get crazy with a full-blown list of the responsibilities. You might just list a couple of things. And I would recommend not listing people that if they were contacted by the monitor, they would have no idea of what's going on with this procurement review, or they would not be able to answer any questions. You don't want those individuals listed. You only want to include individuals that are participating in the review, whether they're gathering documents, they filled out this PR table, or they're involved somehow. So Betty has 3 staff members that are involved, and so she's going to list each one. And like I said, with responsibilities, once she gets the contact information, you want to include a proper email address and a phone number. that gives the monitor two means of communication with your district. Typically, the PR is all through email, but it's nice to have a phone number in case the monitor wants to pick up the phone. Now, Betty, I'm going to go ahead and have you just drop in a couple little things with responsibilities. So that's yours. You might just simply, something simple there, oversee processed and non-processed or brown box commodities for all campuses, or whatever your duties are, just one or two little things there.
Oversees all the commodities?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, keep it simple, just a little brief explanation of your responsibilities.
Oversees all the commodities.
Perfect. And ordering. That was perfect. Okay, click on save. And now Betty's going to enter the other two individuals, and we'll be right back. Okay, so Betty has entered the 3 staff members that would be involved in this procurement review. And as we further review this page, the question is, does your business office close for summer or another extended period of time not associated with a holiday? And if yes, they want you to give the date range. So Betty, the question to you, go ahead and click on edit.
The only time they close is like during the July 4th week.
Okay, so it's not really an extended period of time that's not associated with a holiday. So this is really about any time where you would close that has nothing to do with a holiday. So Christmas, Thanksgiving, are off the table. I don't really consider spring break a holiday. Would you consider spring break a holiday?
No, I wouldn't consider.
Okay, so.
I mean, that's the only time they close, and then, like I said, they're open all summer except for the week of July 4th.
Okay, so I tell you what, let's go ahead and enter the spring break into the screen.
Okay.
So go ahead and enter your from date and to date. So typically, and you can see that the date range where the business office personnel is not available. So I'm sure everyone takes off at spring break, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so go ahead and enter.
I don't know what the dates were.
I wonder if they just want a month there. Is there a little calendar? Oh, click on the little calendar there.
The little blue thing.
Yes.
Oh,
okay, there you go. And so, yeah, I don't know what I can tell you. Schools closed down around March 13th last year. That's sad. Yeah. Sadly.
They got 9 to 13.
Okay. Yep. Go for it. Oh, you can click on. Go ahead and open that calendar again. You can click on that date. Actually, scroll back.
And it'll put it in there.
Yes.
Okay, we're learning something.
There you go. And then you have to scroll back. Perfect. There you go. All right. And then click on save. Okay. So if any of you do close for the summer where business office personnel is not available and it's not a holiday, you're going to want to include your date ranges there. Okay. Betty, go ahead and scroll through. Let's make sure you've answered every section. So we've answered all the top general information. We have entered all of the vendors. All right. And it looks like that's all we need to do. So go ahead and click on the back button. Okay. Now, it looks like, is there another option? I'm going to pause for a minute so we can figure out what our next steps are. Okay, so we just reviewed the helper guide that TDA sent to you in that original email, and what it looks like is this, and it tells you there are 3 documents you must upload. One is your written procurement procedures, code of conduct, and a general ledger, but also a 4th document, vendor paid list. Now, sadly, they don't really lay out what type of report you run out of your accounting program, what it should look like. So we did our best with this part of it. We do have a general ledger, and then we've got the vendor summaries. So we are going to upload our vendor summaries into the vendor paid list. But please refer to the documents they sent to you because they tell you where to go and how to upload these. All right. Now, I've instructed Betty to go ahead and click on the detail link. And you see in the review tools, there is a review attachment. It's in that last box down here. So she is going to click on detail. And then we are going to start adding our attachments. So we're going to click on add attachment. And now we need to choose a file. So click on choose file. And this is where you want to have all your documents saved in a one place so it's easy to grab. We happen to be on my computer, so I asked Betty to send me her documents so that we can easily grab them from a temporary document folder. So I'm just going to have her click the first one she sees there, and each one is labeled as it is. So Corsicana ISD vendor summaries. We'll go ahead and highlight that one and then come down here and click on open. And then we need to give a brief description. So I would say, since they're asking for a vendor paid list, let's just go ahead and type that in.
Okay. Then there.
I would go ahead and give it the description that they asked for and then just click on save. And now click on finish. And now we need to add another attachment. So we're going to go through and add all 4 documents that they have asked for. Once Betty gets those uploaded, we'll be back. Okay, Betty has gotten all 4 requested documents uploaded. So her procurement procedures manual, her code of conduct manual, a general ledger, and then the vendor paid list, which in her case, they gave her a separate sheet for each vendor, which was a summary of how many transactions and total amount paid. This should suffice as the vendor paid list. Once you have everything in, review, make sure everything is loaded, click on the back button, and now we've taken care of our review attachments. You see we've got 4 there. Okay, so now we're back to our main screen for attaching our 4 documents. We see that they are attached and we are done. Now that that has been uploaded, we click the back button and you are finished. So really, Betty, I gotta ask, how difficult was that?
It wasn't difficult at all as long as you have all your documents in order.
Exactly.
And you type them in there.
So the key is get all your ducks in a row before you jump into this table. All right. Awesome job, Betty. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it today.
Thank you.
All right. I will bring back my camera. Let's do that. And let me say thanks, everyone. I appreciate your watching this video. Woo, slipping down there. And Betty's staying out of the camera, but we are still social distancing properly and protecting ourselves. So be safe out there. Thanks.